Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chip. This is iChipness, where we usually talk about writing. That's what I'm hoping for, is that as I'm going forward writing my story, I will be coming on here and talking more about it. But I also wanted it to be a channel where we talk about things that inspire me. And there are times when I'm going to want to go on a rant about things that annoy me. And this happened last night. That's what this video is. The first part of it is me ranting with my cousin Phil from My Celluloid Heart podcast about Bill and Ted Face the Music, the new movie, and Mulan. The latest TV spot that I watched was TV spot 19, and I ranted about that. I had an issue, big issue. Beyond that, we start talking about character development. I talk a little bit about being a pantser and my writing ability as far as what I figured out I was capable of. And we talk about TV shows and stuff, things that actually mattered back in the day where they actually tried to teach you a lesson. We kind of go on tangents. This is basically a series that I like to call Candid. It's the Candid series. Most of the time, I figure I will be talking to my cousin. There may be other people that might join me. I'm not sure. I suspect a friend of mine, Ian, he might be interested in doing something like this. So it's very possible you might see my buddy Ian. And we'll see how that goes. So I hope you enjoy this video. And if you do, please, when it's over, go ahead and give me comments. Tell me how you feel about it. And hey, if you have a rant too about the same things that we threw down, or maybe it made you think of something to rant a little bit about, throw it down there and maybe we'll talk about it next time on the Candid video. That would be cool. All right. See you in a bit. All right, I hit record.
Okay.
Well, and the thing is that I've had a headache all freaking day. So I was telling Katie that we were going to do this, and I said, I think I might want to do this every Sunday with Phil, and just because the last two times we've had gold, and you said we should have been fucking recording this.
Yeah.
And I go, but tonight it's probably going to be shit because I've had a headache all fucking day. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be on point on this one.
Well, and it's like
that we could still talk about two things, really.
One, I have some. Yeah, go ahead.
Is the fact that we both paid $24 for a shit movie.
Hey, how dare you?
That was my fault.
Yeah,
I claim that was the next. What was it, Rocket Man or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It's supposed to be. Yeah.
And then number two,
Bill and Ted's Face the Music is what he's talking about. But go ahead.
Okay. And number two is I had a rant in the car when me and my wife went to go do things. We went to go run errands, and the rant was about Mulan, or what I like to call Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with no fucking dragon.
Okay, what was the first part of that? I missed.
I had a rant about Mulan. To my wife,
okay.
Which I like to call Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with no fucking dragon. No Mushu, so but you can have...
There's no Eddie Murphy. There's no Baby Dragon. Well, first of all,
they wanted to make it historically kind of accurate to the legend or whatever bullshit.
I guess, yeah.
But she's running along the fucking wall.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that. But
and so, okay, I guess I'm getting into it right now. So fuck it. We're getting into it right now. Okay. All I saw, I've seen a few of the damn videos for this thing. And I thought, okay, it looks good. It looks, they want it to be a serious movie. So they didn't have Mushu, no Eddie Murphy. Okay, whatever. But when I just saw the most recent one where guys are coming at her and she runs along the wall and they're kind of running along and they're fighting ting with swords. This little girl should not even be able to carry this sword, let alone run along the wall with it in her fucking hand. Okay. Yeah. And they're like, but we're not going to have Mushu. We're not going to have the dragon in here because we want to make it as realistic as possible. Bullshit. Bullshit. And I'm not going to pay $30 more. I will wait 3 to 6 months or whatever we have to wait for it to be free on Disney Plus. Then pay the premium $30 to have it now and have it forever.
Yeah. Wow, that took a lot out of you. Wow.
Same thing happened in the car, and she looked at me and went, "Do you feel better?" And she goes, "You should have been recording this with your phone, not showing me at all." Because she goes, "Because I won't have that." But at least they could have heard me on the side going, "Do you feel better?"
Yeah,
and it would have been
funny. No, the thing with Eddie Murphy,
it didn't even have to be Eddie Murphy. It could have been somebody new.
No, and that's where I feel like it could be somebody else because, as we learned with Aladdin, everybody thought, oh, there's no way you can outdo Robin Williams, which is true. But Will Smith did his own Genie, and it worked.
Yep.
And it was awesome. And, well, awesome it was good. It's great. Great.
Adequate.
It's awesome above great.
It was adequate.
It was adequate. It was better than adequate. I thought it would be okay, and it was a little better than that. Me and the wife were like, "Oh, colors. We like the colors."
Okay.
What? You thought I was talking about Mulan or something? You weren't on Aladdin. You were thinking about Men in Black.
No, I was trying to figure out where the colors were.
Yeah,
because you're like, "Ooh, colors," and I was like,
all the Indian dresses and all that stuff. Yeah.
It was
at the end, like the wedding, whatever. All that was very beautiful. And then the part, trust me and all that. And then she's like, what? That part had the same thing as a cartoon.
Well, apparently I had the song part of the, and it was before watching the actual thing. Mm-hmm. I was like, I hope he sings that song. And she's like, what song? And I'm like, I don't know the whole song. And I was like, Prince Ali, mighty is he, Ali Ababa. And that was the part I got to. And she goes, is that really how they said, is that really his name? I go, I believe I'm right. I don't believe I'm screwing this up. And then when we watch it, I go, see?
Yeah, exactly. No, all that was cool. Although the cartoon is still so cool of him just running and being chased and singing that song, one step, but I don't know.
They did really well. For those scenes and movement and stuff, I was like, wow, that was done.
That was where, not to get off on this, but the thing that for a long time,
we do this. We tangent.
That's right. For the long time,
so it's gonna happen.
Aladdin was my favorite. Where after then Beauty and the Beast came out, like Lion King, and I was like, it's not Aladdin. Like I want something like Aladdin. Mm-hmm. And because I worked in the movie theater, and then I was working at the video store where I had to watch, Beauty and the Beast for an 8-hour shift. I had to watch it 4 times. Same thing with Aladdin, which was fine. But then
burnt you out, right?
And then Lion King, and then it was like, but now it's like I appreciate Lion King, I appreciate Beauty and the Beast a lot.
I am going to say though, it's going to take me months for me to appreciate Hamilton again because my wife keeps playing Hamilton in the car.
Oh yeah, I still haven't watched that on Disney Plus, but I hear it's good.
It was good. It was really good, but
playing the music, dude. Chicago came out and Moulin Rouge. I was playing that shit constant, like fucking, what was that one? Cellophane Man. Like, oh, so good.
But then everybody wanted to kill you.
No, I played it by myself. I would I'd take a bath and I had my CD player playing with my headphones on, and it was like awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess, but I was playing it a lot. But the thing with Mulan is I get, if they're trying to do the whatever this legend was. So, but like Braveheart, that was a legend out of a 1,000-word poem that a lot of people are like, none of that shit happened. Like this was like broke down to like 2 of those words was like William Wallace. There was a William Wallace. He did die.
And he was gutted or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. He's put in 5 corners of, I think, Gangs of New York, 5 Corners of New York. Yeah.
That's how it happened.
So
you will never be able to bring him back to life. So
that was where, so legend, like just do Mulan like the way people want. Like, yeah, you're going to change it a bit, but at least though they spent the money on it. Like I heard Lion King is like dodgy CGI, and it's like, like it's not as good as like Aladdin.
Kind of the way that Beauty and the Beast was. The CGI for the Beast was like everybody right away was like, ooh, like you didn't.
Yeah, but I like that. But it was still good. It looked good, and they had added songs and stuff. But yeah, so Mulan, yeah, I don't know. They're trying to do the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but also then are you going to have kids trying to run up walls like when kids watch Three Stooges and they're like, I'm going to hit my brother with a hammer, and they kill their brother because they don't know? Like, yeah, laugh at that.
I'm just visually seeing a kid trying to run up the wall with a hammer, but actually slipping and hitting him. Like the hook itself is in his head. That didn't work out
put
well.
Those two together. One is Mulan, a kid running with like plastic swords trying to fight up the wall and falling on his side. The other one is two kids sitting at a TV watching Three Stooges. One leaves, hang on, brother, I'll be right back. Goes and gets a hammer and comes back and goes, bonk. And that brother falls over dead. And you laughed at that. That's great. Anyway, moving on. Yes, this Bill and Ted thing. So I don't know. I haven't seen the thing from Mulan. It could be great. It could be like Bill and Ted. There's a segue for you.
Here's my thing.
Go ahead.
With Bill and Ted, though.
Okay.
The nostalgia was there, and I understand that. I've even saw, what was it, Seth Green, and a few other people. My pop socket actually says iChipness. It's my logo.
Oh, nice. Cool. Sweet.
Wife did that for me. But there's been a few people like, Seth Green, the wrestler Dolph Ziggler, a couple other people they showed the picture of like that they're about to watch the show and they're so excited. And I'm like, yeah. But at the same time, I've seen at least 4 commercials today on Facebook, Instagram, something or other, where it's quoting people saying that it was a wild ride and I was laughing all the way through, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, really?
Yeah. Well, that's where it's really funny with those. That's what I hate about ads like that, when they'll pop up with an ad and it'll be like the best movie ever. And it'll be big and then it'll like zoom out. And then you're like, said, Jimmy Johnson from YouTube channel, Johnny, whatever. I forget the guy's name.
You're like, I have no clue.
Yeah, it's like Philip and Chip say, this movie sucked.
Yeah, but we're awesome.
It's like, well, true. But it's like where, so sometimes when you really read those, it's like, okay, LA Times, Entertainment, Rolling Stone, like, okay. But sometimes it's like, Alberta Weekly says, really? Like, come on. So that's
the Toronto Droll. The what?
Well, and the same thing where you go to iTunes, and on iTunes Movies is like they did with Greyhound. It's like 3 separate, like you move over. So there's Bill, Bill and Ted Face Music, and then there's Ted, and then there's Death, and then it's like, wow, really? You're really pushing this movie. And so I sit down with the wife. And I said, well, first of all, I go to the wife. I said, honey, want to watch? I told her, I don't think I'm going to spend money, $25. That's a gamble on Bill and Ted. I don't gamble. And it's supposed to be good, but I think I might wait. She goes, yeah, I think I might wait. She said, I think I would wait. And I said, yeah. And then like 2 days before my birthday or whatever it was, I said, you know what? I think I do want to spend the money. And she goes, okay. She goes, that'll be your birthday present. I said, all right. So we buy it. I also had steak. We went out for steak and stuff. So I bought it. And then Friday came and I'm like, she's like, okay, now that we're done with some of the housework, where do you want to watch your movie at? You want to watch in the living room or in the bedroom? I said, I think I'd like to watch it on 75-inch TV in the living room. Real nice.
Question.
Yeah.
Has she seen the first 2?
How dare you jump ahead? I'm not a frog and you're not a bunny, so let's not jump ahead. Quentin Tarantino, quote unquote, 4 rooms.
Okay.
I always want to use that line, and every time I do, I never can, but now I can. Anyway.
And he just did.
That's
and
right.
It's cemented forever.
Okay. Yeah. So we're getting ready to watch it, And she goes, you know what? I don't think I've seen any of these movies. And I said, I thought you watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure before. When I was watching it, when I did on my podcast, we did a bit of Keanu. So I watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. You know, I didn't get to watch Speed, but I went Point
For those
Break.
that may be new, tell everybody about your podcast real fast.
Oh yeah, well they should be like, I watched all of Chip's videos, but yeah, my podcast is My Celluloid Heart. Yeah, My Celluloid Heart podcast, and I usually take 2 movies and put them together by one topic or theme. So like I did Holy Grail, and I watched Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade with Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I did, I did a revenge one with my dad where we put 2 revenge movies together. I did Korean horror. So I put like Train to Busan and I Saw the Devil together. And right now I'm finishing out the Bond stuff. So on Friday, I recorded World Is Not Enough. And on Saturday, I recorded Die Another Day. And then I put in little facts and stuff about the movie. Except for Die Another Day. I was just like, let's get through this. It's like a Band-Aid. Rip it off quick.
Just rip it off and throw it away.
That's speaking dodgy CGI. That's what. But
yes.
So I said, I thought you watched that with me then. And she goes, no. I said, okay. I said, well, does this make everybody tense that you see me leaning forward? Does it look like I'm anticipating something?
I don't think so. I think a lot of people that do YouTube, they're like I'm not as close as most people are that are talking to the camera like this. So it's good that you're kind of closer. I'm a little laid back. Right. I'm just also worried that
you're a little bit rock and roll, and you're a little bit rock and roll. I'm a little bit country.
And not really, because you're a little bit bougie if you look at the background.
Yeah.
Got that nice little staircase.
Yeah, I know. They're like, holy shit, where does Philip live? So then what happened? Oh, so then I go, well, what it is on the first one, they traveled through time. They had to do a history exam. They grabbed all these historical figures, brought them back to do their thing up on stage. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, this is time travel? Why didn't you tell me it was time travel? I hate time travel. I said, no, time travel's cool. Let's watch it.
Nice.
So now they're in the future. They're walking along with Rufus's daughter.
Wait, she had you Back to the Future?
She's maybe watched the first one. She hasn't watched the others. But yeah, I'm sure she would. That's one where I'm like, honey, we should watch that. I know. Jason from Popcorn Promises, a little promo for his podcast, during coronavirus now, he's been like, honey, she's like, he goes, what should we watch? And she's like, why don't you get all these movies that you fucking bitch to me about watching? Why don't we watch those? So he goes, we watched Back to the Future. She was like, that was good. He's like, okay, now we're going to watch the second one. She's like, no. I'm like, dude, she missed like the third one. I go, the best part is when he fucking shows up and like 1885, like, fucking badass. Joe Flaherty. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Back to the Future, but we are talking time travel. So I said, so I explained it to her. She's on her phone doing stuff, which I totally got. So I'm watching it, and I giggle. Maybe, well, they're good at multitasking, but also
that's what they call it. They call it ignoring shit right in front of you.
Well, it's a thing where I can say, honey, you missed this thing. And she's like, I got it. He said, you killed my brother. Prepare to die. I get it. And I'm like, no, but you need to, maybe not that movie, but you need to focus on this person's emotional, the look on their face or the little look that they give or whatever. It's like you and I said, talking last week about Dark Phoenix. When Quicksilver's running up to get her and you're thinking, oh, Quicksilver's fast. He's going to fucking get her. And Jean Grey's eyes just move over at him and drop that board from under his feet. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, she's faster than me. And he falls. And
all I think about right there is Superman turning his eyes to the Flash.
Yeah, exactly. And it's those things where I'd be like, honey, like, check that out. And she'd be like, yeah, I got it. She moved the boards. No, but anyway. Mm-hmm. So I watched the thing and I giggled just like maybe twice. Mm-hmm. And 2 of them were maybe for the Bill and Ted thing, Bill and Ted saying something.
Mhm.
But the major one, of course, which you'll agree, is that little robot that's trying to kill them, like that android guy. Like, he was funny. I had to look him up. I'm like, who is this guy? This guy's funny. I go, is that fucking Stifler from American Pie? I go, this guy funny. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not.
Well,
But
what's funny though is I was like, I know those eyes. I know that the way he's acting or whatever. I'm like, but I don't know who it is. And then when I went and watched the very little added stuff that they had to this damn thing, like each one of the little, like, behind the scenes, blah blah blah, were like 2 minutes long, if that. I was like,
yeah,
wow,
wow.
they put nothing into this. The biggest thing was the Kevin Smith thing for
Yeah.
Comic-Con. That was it.
Yeah.
But no, when they showed the guy, I was like, oh, it's from Gotham. It was Zsasz, Victor Zsasz, the assassin dude that cut himself for every person that he killed.
Oh, I don't know
fucking
Victor
nuts.
Zsasz. He sounds familiar. Interesting.
Yeah.
But something that you and I said about this. So I watched the whole thing. Did you watch after the credits?
No.
Oh, after the credits, it cuts to them in their beds at the retirement home,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Are you still alive?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm still alive." And then they're like, "You know what I want to do or something?" And they get out of bed and they plug in their guitars, and they fucking shred, like play like really good. And I was like, I think they added that because everybody's like, we never see them play. They're supposed to be the best.
Mhm.
Like, what's going on? And then you see them play and you're like, oh, okay. And then they're like, and then Bill's like, I'm tired. I'm going to lay back down. And he's like, okay. And they lay back down. So that's after the credits. But something that you and I said was, I don't think this was part of a cash grab, but I don't think that's what they went for. What it feels more like is that they were just like, everybody keeps bitching to us about do another Bill and Ted. Let's do a third Bill and Ted. We'll finish the whole thing out. Let's just write it up. We'll meet all the notes, even where you're going, where you forgot about it until they go to get back into the phone booth. And that rapper goes, station. And they're like, station. And you're like, station. So that was cool. But other than that, I think it was just like a nostalgia thing. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Nostalgia, and I liked the idea that on paper, it was probably exciting. Like, to everyone involved, reading everything, it was exciting. But squishing that much shit into one movie was an endeavor for a director, but also for an editor to make it make any kind of sense half the time. And so pretty much the nostalgia had to lead you through this damn thing.
Yeah.
Like, that was the sad part. It's like,
Well, exactly. That was what was I saying? I think with those two guys, the way that they created the, what we saw at Comic-Con was those guys who created those characters and would perform them at comedy clubs. And for those guys, it was probably like, oh yeah, we're going to bring these guys out. But there was something about, for one, like them being older, would they still be like, dude, no way, dude. It was just something about it. I love the daughters. Like, they were the best of the whole thing, like them and the robot. But yeah.
That was the problem, though, is that I think they were going for too far to where the daughters were like fairly intelligent.
Yeah.
And could really listen to pieces of music and know what they were talking about and all that type of stuff. But it was to the point where the majority of the actual audience watching wouldn't know what the hell they're talking about.
Oh, meaning like for like song stuff?
Yeah, song stuff, connecting to different type of people, different types of songs, different type of, I don't know. Everything they were saying, it was like almost like gibberish to me, where I was like, really? Like, even Bill and Ted as musicians or wannabe musicians at that point, or earlier on or whatever.
Yeah.
They were talking about getting Van Halen and stuff like that to be their guitarist and stuff. They weren't going into like major, oh, well, and like they were like music snobs or anything like that, or that they were going to go to music school. So,
yeah, they were just guys who like music. You and I in the 90s would be like, well, we would put Temple of Dog together, go around time, put Temple of Dog together and be like, that's perfect. Or put together fucking the Traveling Wilburys. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so great. Just because I like this music, I like this, but not diving deep into something like my sister-in-law who took, music in school and everything and knows about composing and knows all this stuff, where I even asked her at my wedding the night of we were at my reception, and I said, well, I go, like something like Metallica, can you listen to it and be like, that's beautiful. Like I get what they're, I like the melodies. I like whatever. I go, or even speed metal. She goes, I got a guy in my class who loves speed metal, but he's also learning about the other music. But yeah, it's that thing of diving too deep. And then you go, oh, come on. Yep. It's kind of like you and I said about, because this is a segue for me. You and I said about Stephen King and Tom Clancy. Sometimes Tom Clancy, people go, I like Tom Clancy because he would write stuff. He would start with a bolt on a bomber jet, and he would go through the plate that the bolt was in, from the plate to the plane, from the plane to the cockpit, from the chair of the cockpit to the pilot it was a whole thing. And you were like, oh, I get it. And then Stephen King, like I was telling you, I read 11/22/63, and he wrote about this town. And so it was like, when I saw the miniseries, I was like, oh my God, that's exactly how I saw him coming out of this time tunnel. I was like, that's so cool. But then when he wrote about because he had to explain to the protagonist about other stuff that, because the old man that he's talking to before he goes through the time tunnel, the guy's like, I've tried to do this, but every time I fail. So now it's your job to stop Oswald from killing him, from killing Kennedy. And so he's like explaining to him about how, well, there was an assassin on a general that Oswald did before he killed the president, and he missed, and he hit this wood. But he goes through all this detail, and you're kind of like, it's too much deep. Like, I don't need to know that, but you knew that was a research that Stephen King did. So you got it. But sometimes it's like, sometimes there's a way to explain it in a good way and an easy way. And sometimes there's a bad way, like expositional way to be like, like if those girls would have been like, oh my God, well, Beethoven, when he does this certain hits this note or, whatever, that you go, I don't know. And then she goes, well, here's why, and then you go, come on. Yeah. It's like on my podcast, we were talking about a really good character is Michelle Yeoh in Tomorrow Never Dies. Yeah. Like she's a female Bond. She's from China. Like, she never needs his help. Like, she's just right there with him. And he never panders down to her. And she never's like, please help me. And all this stuff. And then there's stuff like...
Well, that's cool, though, because also, I mean, considering that he knows the training she went through. She knows what she's doing. Like,
yeah. And there was
just hand the license to kill to anyone. Okay.
Exactly. There was a funny part where when she beats up everybody in her apartment, he shows up late. He knocks one guy out, and he goes, good thing I was here, because he knows she can fucking protect herself. Yeah. But stuff like that, which leads me to what I wanted to talk about, my dream that I had. So Chip is a writer, and I am I did that before Bill and Ted. Chip does this before he's getting ready to watch any movie or listen to a new song.
When I'm excited about something. Exactly. When I'm really excited, I go like that, like a little kid.
I was going to say he wouldn't do that for Biodome, but I bet he did the first time. He was like, yeah.
It's possible.
My melon. So you write, and then I'm doing like this, like I used to write more, but now I write less. But I'm doing this writing kind of experiment where I'm just starting, where I kind of know where my story's going, but I don't. And like I told Chip, I consider it more of like a pulp novel. Like I'm just writing like people shooting each other, and it's kind of quick. It's not too diving deep into character. But I had a point where this FBI agent has to go and bust this guy. And it's the main bad guy of the story. And in my head, I thought I should have her go in, I should have her kill this guy. That would be neat, because that would put me in a dilemma of, now what do? I've killed the main bad guy. And then I go, oh, but wait, I've just let it up like she's kind of a big deal. I should just shoot her and kill her. That'd be awesome. Just kill her real quick. I'm like, I don't know. And then I go, well, she'll get wounded. She'll arrest him and all this. And I write this thing. And then Chip's like, you should delve into her character more. And if she got shot in the ankle, she'd be in more pain. And she would have, been maybe unconscious or whatever. She wouldn't be able to function.
Well, see, and that was my thing is when I was reading it and got to that point,
Yeah.
because you were indecisive about whether to kill her or not. That's how you explained it. But I kind of
Yeah.
knew that already. But I
Yeah.
figured at that close range with that type of
Yeah.
gun, shot her in the ankle, her ankle would have exploded.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
Yeah.
be
He
like
shot
just
her.
hitting the
Yeah.
meat inside the like the calf or something. It was like hitting that bone and hitting that she would pretty much not be able to walk again without major reconstruction. But she's like, give me a cane,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Give me
let me a
something to walk
crutch
or
or
give me
something.
a cane or something.
And I
Yeah.
was
And
like,
that was where, and to let everybody know, so he was hiding either under the bed or on the other side of the bed. And then he shot her from under the bed and hit her ankle, and she fell down. And then she dropped down and aimed at him, which I thought was cool, but that was hard to write. But anyway, so I was writing that, right? All this stuff. And Chip goes, "You need to dive into the character more." And I said, "Yeah, I think you're right." And then, which Chip and I can do with each other. If somebody else was like, "Hey, man, I don't know about that," it'd be like, "Fuck you, you don't know. I'm fucking writing yours."
you don't know me.
So it was like when I first started writing this thing that I'm working on.
Well, let me stop for a sec.
Okay.
Because one thing that I need to preface is that Phil has been told that he writes women really well. So in my head, I'm thinking, why kill off this girl?
Oh,
Also like you gotta go with this. You gotta write her.
Yeah.
Write her the way you write. Like that's so because I've been watching some YouTube videos, some of these AuthorTube videos. And there are a bunch of AuthorTube women out there that are pissed off about strong women not really being written well at all.
Yeah. Well, and then it's like, just to jump on a side note, it's like for character, like we're talking about character, and for the Avengers, and you and I might have talked about this last week, and I definitely talked to Joe and Sean about it. Mm-hmm. The Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, like everybody can just, okay, guys, I got it, go home. She could defeat all of them, but all those girls have to go, come on, girls, let's help her. Yeah, let's help her. And everybody was like, maybe little girls are like, yeah, awesome. But I think even adult women were like, really? Like, I don't think she needs your help. Like, And which, by the way, on a side note, because I told Joe about it, but there's a video out there that Chip shared on Twitter, and he shared it with me, was Captain Marvel picking up Molinar, whatever, I messed it up when I told Joe to, picking up the hammer, Thor's hammer. And it plays You Got the Touch from Transformers cartoon, and it's badass. But anyway, so the characters. So now I knew that we'd be talking today, and I was thinking about the story, plus I was thinking about recording this, and spoiler alert, I'm at work, and but I'm just watching, make sure nobody comes in this door in front of me.
It's freaking me out. Because whenever we have this conversation, we talk, I keep looking behind him to see if somebody's going to come down those stairs.
See, wouldn't that be spooky? Just like whenever somebody's playing video games on Twitch and you're like, I think that happened on one thing, didn't it? Where a killer came in and somebody was like alerted.
Guy came in and he started beating on a girl or something. So they like called the police or something.
It's like, holy shit.
They had to contact Twitch so that they could figure out where her location was or something. Because
that's right. Yeah. But yeah, that's very spooky. Now you got me thinking. Let me check. Okay, everything's good. So anyway, so I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about recording this while I'm at work, and I'm like, well, gee, I wonder if I got to make some notes here for work. So I'm thinking, well, gee, I wonder, like either it was this or whatever it was, but I start thinking about work as well. Like, okay. Like being in trouble at work, doing something wrong or not doing something right.
You're thinking about this before you fell asleep?
Yeah. And thank you for, yes. You know where this was going. So I haven't told Chip about my dream yet. So I was thinking about the character and I was thinking about my work, like somehow messing up work or something. Okay. And so I go to bed and I have this dream, and I'm at a hotel where I usually work, and there's a guy there. Before, though, I see the guy, so it's almost like a movie. I see the guy dealing with some like gang members, and he like steals some drugs or some money from them. And I see him run away, and they're like, what the fuck? Where did he go? Next thing you know, I'm talking to this girl, and I'm married and she has a boyfriend and she's telling me about her boyfriend. We're just having this discussion and I'm sitting at a table talking to her, and I'm at work and I'm not like getting up to walk around or anything. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't think about that yet though, but it's like, after I started thinking about it through the dream, I was like, oh, I didn't do I was sitting there talking to her for like 2 or 3 hours. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So talking to her, then her boyfriend shows up. Hey, I'm her boyfriend. How you doing? Oh, we're doing good. We're all talking. Everything's good. Having a good discussion. I'm like, wow, I like these people. And again, kind of like with my writing, I wonder where this is going. Next thing I know, these two gang members come up the stairs and open the door and walk in. And he's like, whoa, hey. He's like, what are you guys doing? And they just shoot him, and they turn around and shoot her right in the face. Yeah, they shoot her first, right in the face. She just drops dead. And I'm like, holy shit. And I look at him, and they shoot him a couple times. He drops dead. They aim their gun at me. I just wait, and then they leave. Now I'm like, oh shit. Like, for one, like there's several things. I'm security. I should have been doing my job walking around here. I would have stopped those guys before they came to the stairs. For 2, holy shit, that guy did rob them and now he got in trouble. For 3, holy shit, that was what my idea for my story was like, just kill somebody right away. Like, that would surprise everyone. And it happened to me. For 4 or 5, whatever number I'm on now, I just leave. I'm like, fuck this. And I left. So now I'm at home.
I'll call 911 for the car.
So I didn't even do that. So now, still in my dream, I'm like, holy shit. I left work. I was sitting there for 3 hours. They're going to watch the video and be like, that guy was, what happened? Oh, these guys bust in while our security guard is talking to them. And
AKA the person of interest.
Yeah. and what the fuck? He didn't do anything. And now he's gone. We can't even find him. So the next day I go back to work to the same place. And I'm like, and I see the main guy that's in charge of us. And I go, hey, I just want to let you know that I said, yeah, last night I'm sorry that I left or whatever. And if you need me to write something up. And he goes, don't worry about it. You're good. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that means I'm not coming back tomorrow. That means the end of my shift is the end of my shift, like forever. So I'm like, oh, fuck. So then later on in my dream, for some reason, I'm like, now I got to tell my wife that I got fired because I sat there and watched 2 people get shot and killed. And why was I just not doing any work? And I'm like, holy fuck. And so then
you can blame it on trauma.
So then I wake up, and then I'm like, and then I have to, just like you do in some dreams, you got to replay everything. I'm in bed at my house. Did that happen? That did not happen. I'm okay. I still have a job. I'm still good. I didn't see anybody die. Okay. And I'm like, what the fuck did that mean? And I'm like, oh, it was me thinking about, it's like they say, before you go to bed, your brain is putting everything into the file cabinet. And so it's me thinking about like character development. Let's drop that in there. I was thinking of killing this great character. This girl who I was like, man, she's pretty awesome. Boom, gets shot in the face and dead. And I'm like, whoa, holy shit.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so it was all that. Yeah, it was. So I was like, oh my God, thank God.
Brain.
Yeah. Yeah. I was far enough away, but yeah,
okay.
6 foot rule. Yeah. But yeah.
That's true. Social distancing.
Yes.
For bladder.
But yeah, so that was interesting where I was just like freaking out, like, holy shit. Like, and then I'm like, oh, that's why. Because I was thinking about the character development and recording this video and all this stuff. I'm a security supervisor, by the way, at a company. So that's my story. And then I make a podcast.
And I sometimes show up on the podcast, and
yeah,
we're going to try and change that, make it a little bit more often, and make it accessible here too. Yeah, like the first one, GoldenEye, it's on here. Yeah. You can watch it.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to go all the way back to Dr. No, go to My Celluloid Heart and look that up on iTunes.
There you go. Or Podbean. Is that where Podbean?
Yeah.
Is that where Podbean.
Yeah. MyCelluloidHeart.podbean.com. Yeah.
Okay.
or go to my iTunes or whatever. Yeah, so that was weird. That was character development, which is part of your authoring thing, which also, because of James Bond, we were talking about, me and Joe were talking about the character of Christmas Jones, played by Denise Richards, who was horrible and had no real character. And on Tomorrow Never Dies, we were talking about the girl from Lois and Clark, Terry Hatcher.
Yeah, Terry Hatcher.
We were talking about how she thought her character would be more, and it was kind of a good character that they could have expanded on more, but they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And she was kind of upset about that. And Jonathan Pryce was like, I could have done more. I thought my character was more her and Jonathan Pryce.
Yeah.
But then, the Michelle Yeoh character, and then, the bad guy in Die Another Day is just horrible. And even Halle Berry, who's like she's supposed to be as good as Michelle Yeoh, but she like needs Bond's help. And
he makes up for it in John Wick 3.
Yes. Yeah, that's where me and Sean were saying on Die Another Day he was like, you cut to her now when she's 50 and she does more shit than she ever did in James Bond. I was like, yeah, I go, that's what was bad, was they were going to do like a spinoff for her, like do a Jinx spinoff and make her the female Bond for an American Bond. And it was like, no, that's why they had Michael Madsen was like her handler in the CIA. And it was
it's
like,
because of Catwoman. It just tanked it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably.
Nope.
Yeah. It's like, oh.
Yikes.
But anyway, that was that thing. And then kind of with you, like your character stuff that you were working on was, like you and I said, like you wrote, and you explained it on your YouTube videos, you wrote your story like out, not fully out, but you wrote a lot of it. Mm-hmm. And it was like, and you ended at this one part when you read it to me where I'm like, dude, you're only 18 pages in and this main guy already, like, he's gone. And then you were like, yeah. And then you kept writing. And I was like, oh, it's going somewhere else. Like, that was kind of my thing of just kill somebody. I was like, that's cool. But then now you're like, you and I were talking about, like, you could fill all that in from not just those 18 pages, but all the way through to what you did, right? Mm-hmm. Where you can make it more. And it's not an empty filler of the screw on the plane. Not that Tom Clancy was filler, but you don't have to do all this meaningless filler. It would be meaningful filler to broaden out the characters and tell more of the behind the scenes stories and all that stuff.
Yeah. And that was kind of the thing. I started really breaking down the, 40 plus chapter first book that I technically written. But when I was doing that, I had to really figure it out. I was kind of breaking it down. I've only gotten so far 3 books kind of placement as far as where things are kind of going to go. And then I got to do basically peacemaker fillers throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because the way it is with what I have storyline wise, the first, 6 or 7 chapters are the first book. And that's pretty much introducing the main peacemakers, the ones that I want, my main dude,
Yeah.
And his mentor, blah, 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 the typical mentor type, character. Not really typical because he's a vampire, but whatever. Vampire ex-Templar person.
Yeah.
But if you go to worldanvil.com, look up the peacemakers, you'll see what I'm talking about. But when I started breaking it down, I was sitting there going, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and, it's the first book is, Heroes Among Us of the Peacemaker series. And then when I took the next 6 chapters, which I think at some point, one of those chapters actually became, I don't know, it was pretty late at night when I was figuring this out. It was either an epilogue or a prologue or an epilogue. At some point to kind of lead in, because I was like, this would be a good lead in, or it was like, something like that. But when I figured it out, when I looked at it, I realized that those 6 chapters were all demigods and gods. So then I named the second book Gods Among Us.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you get to the next like 5 or 6 chapters after that, that would go maybe in the next book that I'm going to spread out, that became more about the villains. So it was Villains Among Us. And I was like, this is just fucking working out.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is awesome.
Until you get to book 25 and you're like, the homeless among us? Like,
It's like,
the baristas among us? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be an issue. Well, and I figure that this is just going to be enough for this series.
Yeah.
Because apparently, like, as far as, because I want to, as I haven't really said this, I don't think, straight out on the channel. I don't plan on doing traditional trying to get somebody to publish my stuff. I'm going to actually publish my own stuff, do self-publishing.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
I do. Okay. And in doing so, most of the people that do a series of books, when they plan this out, pretty much most of the titles or all of the titles have a certain word or a few words that are similar, and they just change up. Like say, some of the fantasy books or whatever like that, it's like, dark shadows, empty shadows, something shadows, whatever like that. Yeah. They'll do it all the way through.
Or even the Twilight books were
related.
I mean, not the same, but they were related.
Eclipse, Twilight, yeah.
New Moon, yeah.
So that was my plan. Because I don't want to reveal. You already know, but I don't want to reveal on here. As far as who the overarching kind of bad guy is, that's going to be relayed by the end of or halfway through, I guess, the series of books. He'll be known, but he won't really come to power till later on. But in doing that too, I think the name of the final books are going to be more related to his emergence than anything else, because we've already kind of established all the other characters. But what I was going to say though is, because there's only like 5 or 6 chapters per those books, and I'm going to expand on it, the ones that the gods are in and the ones that their villains are in, there are some interactions and there are some moments where the kind of the original peacemakers from the beginning book are there.
Yeah.
So I have to actually expand on those to fill those books with a storyline that has to do with the peacemakers in general.
Yeah.
So I got to figure that out too. But that's kind of the cool point of how I'm going to do this. So, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of exciting for me. But it's kind of the same thing where you're in that frame of mind of like, what do I do? Where am I going to go with this? Do I go this way? Do I kill somebody? Do I do whatever? Which, I mean, the one thing that I think resonates with that is that when me and you were trying to do comic book stuff in the past, and I basically came to my own conclusion that if you don't want to foreshadow things too much to where the reader or the audience can see it coming, then you do something that you didn't see coming. Just stop where you're at in the damn area that you're at and just do something off the fucking wall. Think of something but it still makes sense. It still fits. It doesn't feel like you just tanked your story. Something just like, what? Yeah. And especially like, I don't know, it's a thing that I wanted to explain with this, is that I'm a pantser. A pantser is a person who writes by the seat of their pants. It's a person, not a plotter, not somebody who meticulously plots out. And by doing that, it's very weird, because before I actually started writing, I did a lot of research into pantser plotter. What am I going to do? And I didn't know. I was sitting there going, I have all these characters that I've had, for years, that have just developed into something new, blah, blah, blah. And they went from being cosmic characters to X-Men type characters to Crow, moody type bastards to what they are now. And I didn't know if I should just do plotting it out, whatever like that. And then when I just started writing, just because it was kind of the thing of just write, don't talk about it, just write. And I was like, okay. So I started doing it. And when I started doing it, everything started falling into place. And even when I did crazy shit, like kill somebody off, it fit. Like everything seemed to fall into place like puzzle pieces. And I thought that was bullshit when I was watching YouTube or looking up, how writers do it, or how Stephen King does it, when he's like, I think planning the story kills the plot, is what he said.
Yeah.
And I thought, and when people said that, oh, well, pantsers just miraculously, intuitively make things happen. They just weave the story. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be that guy. And all of a sudden it just started happening. And I was like, holy crap. Like, it's some mystical, crazy shit that's happening here.
That's that thing that I told you so a long time ago. Chip and I have talked about this already because we've known each other for 50 years. No, Chip's not that old. But I bought it was a soundtrack with Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction together when Pulp Fiction came out. And there was an interview in there with Quentin Tarantino. And somebody asked Quentin Tarantino, how did you come up with the idea of Mr. Blonde's got a straight razor in his boot cutting off the guy's ear? And he said, I didn't know he had a straight razor in his boot until he pulled the razor out of his boot. And I'm like, what? That makes no sense. How stupid. Yeah, I'm like, what? And then I'm writing, back in the day, I was writing a script called, which one's that one called? No Honor Among Thieves. And it's a hijacking script, and it was going to be organized by DB Cooper. And then they find out DB Cooper isn't really DB Cooper; he's somebody else. And so then they have to still do the hijacking in this other way, and they have to. And I'm like, oh shit! I just destroyed my own self because I destroyed my whole story idea because now I either have to lie or do something else. And then all of a sudden, it was like. They sat around a table and they started discussing, what are we going to do now? One of the guys asked, what are we going to do? And the other one goes, we're still going through with the plan. We're just going to now have actual, fake bombs or whatever. And we're going to scare everybody and we're going to get the money. And I'm like, holy shit. And then every time I would just put the people in a room together and they'd just talk. And I was a stenographer and just wrote everything out. And that's what later on Quentin Tarantino's like, that's what I do. I put people together and they talk. And that's the cool thing with making character and just, it's like an actor can read about a character. And like in a Quentin Tarantino movie, Quentin Tarantino knows more about that character and can say, well, you went to school here and you did this and did that. But us as writers or creators is where you go, I have no idea where this is going, who this person is until you start writing it out. And then you're like, oh yeah. Or you make a small little thing. But then all of a sudden you're, oh, wait, I'm going to call back to this and have them explain like how they knew something or whatever, Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I find it very exciting.
Well, it's weird because a few of the videos that I've watched of talking to, Stephen King, mm-hmm. his son, Joe King. Well, yeah. Joe Hill goes by Joe Hill, but Joe King. Who else are there? Oh, Neil Gaiman, a few other people that they basically joke around when people ask them, where do you get your ideas from? And they're like, from the idea store or whatever like that, joking around. Yeah. Because they're afraid to tell you because there is no one set rule on how these things just kind of appear to people. It's just weird how stuff happens. And, they get these ideas and then all of a sudden these characters start flowing and manifest themselves through the writing. It just happens. And that's what they were trying to explain. And I'm like, okay, that was also part of the information download that I was getting before I started writing and everything. And I was big time. I went ahead and watched the whole thing of Masterclass with Neil Gaiman and that was amazing. It was very, very helpful. I tried to watch Patterson and some of the other ones, and that guy's all over the damn place.
How about, did you listen to that director of The Spanish Prisoner?
No, I only did I just did a few novel people. So some of them I kind of started what's
that
his
guy
name?
That writes plays. What's his name? Damn it. Anyway. I get what you're saying, but he's on there too. He's supposed to be on there, but
yeah, a few other people just started showing up that I saw in little commercials on YouTube or whatever, saying that they do Masterclass. I was like, it's on there. I got it. I can watch it now. So I re-upped it for this year. No, I tried to watch a few of them. Um, they were good. I mean, but it was just kind of getting boring, or they were talking
But
about things that had nothing to do with what I'm writing, like
right, right.
suspense thriller type books,
Well,
like how to clench it
yeah,
and
yeah,
get from
yeah.
point A to point B. And I was like, that's not me.
Well, and something that that is fun, like you were talking about sitting down and just writing, was I would tell people at the video store. I would tell them years ago. I
Mhm.
would tell them my idea about this DB Cooper story. So this girl who was a flight attendant, I was telling her the story, and I told her the whole thing. And at the end, she was like, "I just got goosebumps." And I was like, "Really?" She goes, "You need to write that. Like, write it now." And I'm like, "I know, but it's going to jump around in time. It's going to be too hard. Like, I can't even imagine how to." And then because she told me that, I'm like, "I'm going to start writing this." So I sat down and I started, and I was like, "Oh wait, I'm just going to write this linear. Then I'll break it up and put it where I need." And then that's what I did. And I was like, "Holy shit!" And there was some stuff where if I go back, it needs filler, but yeah, it was fun because it just all came out. It was everything that, like you and I for this comic book had always been talking about. Yeah, we'll do this, well, this, and like you said, you not only had that story, but you also had another story that was a variation of that story. You also had before that was the Crow variation. You had this other variation, and then you could take all those, and that's like the thing that I'm working on now. Is I had all these little ideas for different things, and at one point after Kill Bill or whatever, Chip and I were talking, he's like, "Why don't you take all that shit, put it together into one thing, a script or a book or whatever?" And I
Mhm.
was like, "Holy shit, okay." And then I start trying to put it all together. So, and that has even changed where I had the ending was this guy against the sheriff. And then I'm like, well, no, that's where does it go from there? Like the sheriff, like, so now it's, bigger and different.
Well, and
Anyway,
I'm hoping that when you keep going with it and it starts filling out,
yeah,
that you're going to get to a point and realize that the person you were not expecting or whatever is going to be
yeah,
the main dude, the main character or whatever through the rest
yeah,
of the book.
that's,
You're going to be like, I'm going to make him for my second book or whatever. He's going to keep
yeah,
going because that's what happened with Interview with the Vampire.
mm-hmm,
When Anne Rice did that, she modeled Lestat after her husband,
mm-hmm,
but he wasn't supposed to be like the main character. She fell in love with that character so much that
yeah,
he went into having his own book in the second book.
yeah,
So it was kind of not really planned in that essence.
yeah,
She was all about putting herself, into the other characters, and kind of Lestat was kind of the second, kind of the backup dude, and then all of a sudden everything changed. So
yeah.
you just never
No,
know.
that's no, exactly. You never know. No, but but I thought we'd talk character a little bit, but I don't know what else you got. I'm just doing work over here, so don't mind me.
Um, well, now everybody that's watching right now, the question arises: do you still have that script, Phil?
Which
Can
one?
you?
The No Honor Among Thieves? Yes, I do. It's
Okay.
on Final Draft, and I can't print it up, but I can read it. Yeah, I had printed it up, and after I printed that script up, I was so excited because I'd never finished a script before. No, I finished. Yeah, I've only written two scripts. One, if you count when I was in script writing, and they said write a how-to, and I wrote a camping how-to camp, and so yeah, I finished
Kick
it,
fire, kick
and
dirt into fire. Done.
and I had yeah, and it was cans of food in the bottom of your bag, whatever it was. I just remember one part where I had somebody. Anyway, it don't matter. Um, the Joe, I had Joe read it, and Joe was like, "Oh my god, like that female character's written really well."
Mhm.
And that was one where she was just talking, and I was doing this thing, and then what else is funny from your brain to another writer's brain or another person? One day I told Joe, I said, "Why don't you rewrite this? I want this. I have this scene where they're going to hijack the thing." And so Joe wrote it up about the person has a thermos, the pilot, and he's drinking his coffee. And then they hijack the plane, and the guy puts a gun to the girl, and says, "You're coming with me." And she says, "Why?" And he says, "Because you're the prettiest one." Like the way his character said it was creepy and perverted. The way I wrote it was just like a
You got a
normal.
pretty mouth.
Yeah, it was just, mine was just like kind of a, because you're the, like, kind of smart alecky, because you're the prettiest one. Like, come on, let's go.
Oh,
And then
that's better.
I read what Joe read, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, Joe, you got the, he's like, that's what you wrote. I go, no. And you and I had talked about this, so this does go with writing. Chip and I one time were talking about a story that we're working on called Rise of the Martyr, or whatever it was called. And it was about this hitman who, it was going to be like, he's fed up with crime and like a John Wick, but not John Wick trained as well. So he's fed up with crime and he's like, something should be done. Fuck this place. And he's at a bar.
John Wick Death Wish.
Yeah. And somebody comes up to him and says, hey, I heard that you want to clean up the town. Can you do this? And they're kind of using the guy, but also give him a bunch of guns. He's got a thing full of guns. And every time he goes to fight the people, he learns something more and more about, oh, I need 5 more extra mags. I need to have something on my shoulder that I can get. I need a rope. You know, what are you, Charlie Bronson? I need a rope.
Charlie Bronson's always got rope.
Whatever. Yeah. And so all this stuff, listen to Chip and I on my podcast talking about Boondock Saints. And so it was all that. And then one day I said, Chip, I have that. Chip goes, you can take that, do whatever you want with it. I said, okay. So I said, I got this scene where it's in a hotel room and the girl is there and the guy's there and I'm explaining it to him. And now, unbeknownst to me, Chip has been to other hotel rooms that I have not been to. So Chip's talking about a hotel room with the bathroom at the head of the bed, the door to the bathroom at the head of the bed. I'm talking about a hotel room with the bathroom, you know, the bed's here and the bathroom is on the far wall, beside it. And so I'm explaining to him, and Chip's like, no, I don't. And we have to skip back and forth until finally he's like, no, the bathroom is here. And I'm going, no, the bathroom's here. And that makes you realize, oh my God, you need to really write out the detail of a room because so people can see it. Just like I said, back to the Stephen King thing of that guy come out of the tunnel and he's in 1959. And it's exactly how I remember reading it, exactly what I imagined in my head. And that's the thing of good writing, is just makes you go, oh, I got the hotel room. I know what he means, you know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Actually, to segue into that and explain that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What else was there? I know I wanted to talk
about. You know, Chadwick Boseman died. That was sad.
Yeah. And so Philip sent me something I had already seen. It was Jimmy Fallon. It was the thing where they had people standing in front of basically a poster of Black Panther, and they were supposed to be talking to it to record messages that were meant for Chadwick.
Of what the movie meant to them. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then so he, you know, I'd already seen it, but when he sends it to me because he had passed and everything, I start watching it and everything, and I'm just sitting there trying to get all teary-eyed and stuff, and I'm like, and so I basically, send him a message saying, "You son of a bitch," make me cry or whatever. But I go out to where my wife is, and I'm sitting there just tears or whatever. She's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Damn it, Phil." So
yeah. But yeah, it was sad, but yeah.
Well, especially because Hardwick. Did you see the thing that Hardwick posted? Yeah, he posted that I think it was on Fallon or Kimmel or something like that. He was on the same day in 2016 with Boseman. Mm-hmm. And he said that he was fanboying about it or whatever, but he blurted it out to him or something that they should give you your own movie because it was right after Civil War.
Yeah.
Right? He goes, so I blurted that out, and he said he responded with, "Yeah, that would be nice," or whatever, really kind of cool about it.
Yeah.
But he goes, obviously he already knew that he was going to get his own movie because of contracts.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that he said that had to have been around the time that he already knew, he got the diagnosis for cancer.
Yeah.
at that
Yeah,
time.
because they said he was hiding it, which I find surprising that Disney couldn't find that shit, you know, like that they're not gonna, you know. But also on the bad thing of that, talk about Disney Mulan, back to that, look, we circle back, is that I told my wife, I told Sean, I go, it's fucked up, but that right after he died, Kevin Feige and them, everybody's on the phone with the writers going, hey, we need to write something. We need to write him out. And Sean's like, yeah, like, can we have him float in space? Like, Leia? And I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Well, and that's
So,
kind of the thing, though, is I'm sitting here like thinking.
but then again, that's a business and you can get that. But yeah.
Well, and I was also thinking like, no, do it style, do it classy, like make it to where even in the Marvel comics, it's done. Like there is no more Black Panther.
Yeah.
Like have him actually pass, like natural causes or whatever, cancer, whatever you want to do, but make it classy as hell, and basically say Black Panther's done now.
Yeah.
Like this guy passed. He gave us Black Panther. He kicked ass at it. He learned how to do all these karate moves, do all these physical things with weapons and everything. That was actually him doing those moves.
Yeah.
But he was doing that while he had cancer. Like if this guy helped you make billions of dollars, and did all that badass shit, then guess what? Make Black Panther his. Like,
well, and it's also the thing of, I'm sure that everybody who has seen Black Panther and then got the comics because of that, they only hear his voice. Just like everybody says, no matter who you ask, I think maybe no matter who you ask, although maybe just people our age, when you read Batman in the comic book, it's Kevin Conroy talking. You don't hear anybody else talk. You don't hear Christian Bale. You don't hear, Ben Affleck. What did you say, Martha? What?
Martha, what?
Yeah.
Well, and I feel bad, honestly. I feel bad for the people before Conroy or even before Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
That any of the old blue colored.
You think they read with Adam? You think they read with Adam West in mind?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that had to suck.
So they had to read it like it's almost like William Shatner. Come on, old chum.
Yeah.
We need to do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I've been watching, I told you, although your people don't know, during the DC fandom, they had all 109 episodes of the animated series, Batman the Animated Series, for $40. And I was like, oh my God, I can't beat that. I got to get it. And I told my wife, I go, honey, I'm spending $40 on this. And then later she was like, okay. And then later she's like, what year did it come out? I go, in the 90s. She goes, I thought it was like the 70s or something. I'm like, she thought it was that old one. I go, no, they had that. But I go, no, it's the 90s. And I explained it to her. And I said, and there's 109 episodes. She goes, oh my God, like, that's a lot. I'm like, yeah, exactly. She goes, okay, that is worth it. And then usually I'll be watching something and she's like, turn that shit off. Like, I want to watch Alf. So we watch Alf, which is real wholesome. Her and I have been talking, on a side note we'll get to later. There's no wholesome shows anymore. You can't find something like Alf or something like Family Matters, those kind of shows, like wholesome like that, without being Disney just for kids. Something for the whole family.
Or Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah, but something, I mean, like that one with Scott Baio, that was a good show. Dad or whatever it's called, something. I forget. But anyway, it was on Disney or Nickelodeon. Okay. But so I've been watching this now, and she'll just like put that on for us to watch because, it's well written, 22 minutes, and you get a full on story. And what was cool was the very first episode, and this may have just been out of order, but I don't think so. But the first episode is him fighting Catwoman. Mm-hmm. Then it goes through a whole bunch of other episodes, other characters, the Joker and stuff. And it's said to be continued at the end of the Catwoman one. And you're like, well, wait, he was kind of dating her. Like she won him on for dating an eligible bachelor. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden after like 4 or 5 episodes, then it's like, previously on Batman or whatever. And it shows that, and you're like, oh, we're continuing that story. That's kind of cool. It waited and then came back. It was like, here's the rest of the Catwoman episode. So it was pretty cool. but yeah, it's well written, and the one I just watched last night was Scarecrow. Hit him with a dart in the back of the neck, and then he was having all these. He was questioning his father and all this stuff, and it was really cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, and then that the computer took a while to analyze Scarecrow's mask, so he didn't know who Scarecrow was. It was like, so he's like having this bad time, and it's like still analyzing, and he's like, oh, and then like 2 days later, it's like Scarecrow mask analysis, ready, and he's like, oh, and then it's like Axis Chemicals, this, and he's like, oh, it's this guy. Okay, I got him, Scarecrow. So anyway, it's pretty cool. It's a good show.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else you got? Now we rounded around to so any wholesome shows? No, nothing.
Not really. I mean, I don't think there's anything that nothing really that did the whole. I mean, they tried to bring back Fuller House, whatever the hell.
Yeah, nothing that touches on that Full House, Family Matters type vibe. And we've been watching that lately, and it's still a good show. I know it's corny and wacky, and Urkel, first had a potion, then he made a machine to transform himself. But, it's fun, and it's just kind of light entertainment. So
well, and then they still have their stories, their moments where they teach you something. And of course, like I think one of the ones that I don't know how I got onto it. I don't know where the hell it came from. Maybe it was it might have been at the break room at work or something. But it was the one where his son or whatever, the Winslow son or whatever, gets pulled over by the cops. Yeah.
Well, it might have been the one that I told you about, but maybe I didn't tell you. But yeah, I just recently saw that, and I'm like, that's pretty poignant for now.
Yeah. Because
he gets pulled over first for speeding, and he's like, "How fast were you going?" And Eddie's like, "Nothing." And his stupid buddy is like, he's doing 65 in a 45 or something. It's like, what? And then later, when he gets the ticket, he's like, "But I didn't do it." And he goes, and he doesn't believe him because he lied to him about how fast he was going before.
Well, no, this one was like him getting pulled over because he was black.
Well, right. That's why he got pulled over the second time. First time was speeding.
Oh, okay.
And that's why they led that up. So then that's why Mr. Winslow doesn't believe him when he says that I didn't, I got pulled over, but it was nothing I did. They said it was failure to signal. Yeah. And he's like, no, I don't believe you. You're grounded. And he's like, why don't you believe me? And then finally he gets upset with the mom and everything. And she's like, you need it. And he goes, I'm going to go investigate. And he goes and sees those cops at the diner shop.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Like, and he sits down and has a discussion with him. And the one guy's racist and the other guy is not. And he's like, how long have you been this guy's partner? He's like, about a year. He goes, you might want to change, go somewhere else. And he's like, why did you want to be a cop? He goes, to do the right thing. And he's like, okay. And it was like, yeah. And then he tells Eddie, I talked to him. It's, and Eddie's like, okay. And then they go and file a report. So it's cool.
Yeah. Go down the next morning and all that.
But they would have that where it would be a regular, funny, silly story. And then at the end, it was like, no, we're here for you. We're family and, whatever. So,
I think that, there is no, what was that? Step by Step was the other one that I liked.
Yeah.
Where the guy, the stupid guy that went on to be like the karate dude in the movies. Yeah, he was a kickboxer whatever it was. And he ended up being a wife beater. Oh, really?
Yeah, in real life, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. But that's...
He didn't learn anything from Step by Step.
Exactly. He learned a lot of stuff from those fighting movies, how to beat up his wife. The Growing Pains, that's on the Roku channel. Alf, like I said, and Alf's actually funny because he's just a smartass who doesn't give a shit. And so he'll say shit I don't know. I can't think of one now, but it's just anyway.
Yeah.
But that Growing Pains, Who's the Boss? We watched that, so we watched all these shows and now it's well, what else can we watch? So.
Well, and that's kind of the thing though, is that back then we actually kind of had those shows to kind of try and steer you in the right direction. Now
Yeah,
it's all,
yeah.
there's so much bullshit out there where it's pretty much just all it is like reality TV and bachelor bullshit and just
Look
stupid.
how look how you tie it back in. Even though Three Stooges are innocent, but you didn't have something where somebody's hurting somebody and some kid's gonna go, "Hey, that's funny. I'm gonna do that." It was no, you know, it had a message, and it was just regular humor, and it was Urkel. Everybody loved Urkel. He was as big as Seinfeld big as Kramer when he walked in. Everybody just went nuts.
Well, and
And
they even turned it into a
cartoon.
no, the Nutty Professor type thing where
Oh.
they made him change
Yeah,
it all.
that's what I was saying. Where first he had a potion where he was like, I don't want to be a nerd anymore. And he took this potion. He was fucking cool. And Lisa, or whatever her name was, she fell in love with him. And then other people.
That girl died too. Apparently, that girl
No,
died from
his girlfriend. She had cancer.
yeah, his girlfriend.
Like 35. Yeah.
Just
But yeah, then his the girl that he liked, his neighbor, she ended up liking him. But then people were like, "You need to be him again. You need to be Urkel again. We miss Urkel." And then he came back and was Urkel, took the potion again, and she was like, "No, how dare you!" And then later on, a couple episodes later, he had a big like refrigerator that he put the potion in. He stepped in, and he would be like, "I want to be Einstein," and he'd come out and he had a big wig, big white hair, and he was like, "Well, this," and then he put in some.
So he became Don King.
Come in some Elvis. He became Elvis. Yeah, I know, right? He became Elvis and he came out. But what was cool was he went in and put some DNA of Bruce Lee or something in there. And he came out and he's Bruce Lee, he had no shirt on and like black pants and he's ready to fight. And he goes into a bar where she's being harassed, his neighbor. And then he's like, don't mess with her. And he's speaking in his broken English. And then all these bar patrons, like all these bikers start to attack him and he kicks all their asses. And it's just fun.
That's
and
awesome.
Then later, then he goes and becomes Urkel again. So, but yeah.
It was nice seeing him and Keenan on Psych.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where they were all college buddies or whatever.
And even what was I watching the other day? Was that on Psych? Was it Keenan? The guy from Different World we were watching. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, holy shit, that's him. Was that Psych?
I don't know, because I know for Halloween, Gus dressed as Kadeem Hardison from A Different World. He had the glasses and everything like that, and the guy that they were trying to help, the guy that thought he was a werewolf or something, put on his Kadeem Hardison clothes.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's some of those people where, I think for a while Urkel or Jaleel White.
You're thinking of the guy from
I'm thinking of
Spawn, and
but Jaleel White was like he didn't like that character. He was upset with playing Urkel, that everybody liked that, and then I think now he's embraced it. And there was even like a making of, I forget where I saw about Family Matters, and he was talking about talking about character. This now leads back into the character where and I'm surprised that they let him do this, but they said, go become Urkel. And he went and he said, I got the suspenders and the high water pants and I put everything on and the glasses. I picked the glasses and I walked out there and they were like, okay. And he said, and I walk on stage and I'm Urkel and that's it. That was,
That's awesome.
So it's like, wow. And, but same thing with, on one of those reality shows where they were all living in a house together. We've talked about this, but not on here before. But Vanilla Ice was on there with Punch from Chips. And he was like, and there was a picture when they walked in, everybody had a picture of them like the, who's that guy? Andy Warhol, like the Campbell soup, but it was all of Vanilla Ice's face when he was Vanilla Ice. And he went and he just tore that picture down and ripped it up and was really pissed. And Punch is like, what's going on? And they had this real heart-to-heart, of course, reality TV, but had this real discussion about, he's like, do you think that I wanted to be forever the guy in the tight pants that's riding a motorcycle like that guy? Like, no. But he said, I did, and I'm comfortable with it. Like, that's what made me famous. That's what fans love. And that's what made you famous, and that's what people love, and you need to embrace it. And he was like, oh, okay, you're right, you know. And I think that's why, remember they had that MTV show where it was like bringing old band members back to do together, like, and they tried to get the guys together to do, what's that song from Body Double? Relaxed. They tried to get Frankie Goes to Hollywood to get back together, and they didn't get back together because, for one, those groups are like, what, we're going to get back together and do our main song that we played fucking 57,000 times that we're annoyed with, that we hate every time we hear it. Or like I told my dad, I said, Dad, I know you hate Rod Stewart, and I think you hate him because of this one song. And my dad goes, no, I hate Rod Stewart because I hate Rod Stewart. I don't like any of his music. I was like, oh, okay.
Which apparently everybody should hate Rod Stewart, because I saw a video of him flipping out because a cop or something was trying to, I don't know what his family was doing. His family was doing something bad or something. I don't know. They were not where they were supposed to be. It was like a little video. It was really kind of far away, but you actually see Rod Stewart yelling at this cop or security guy or whatever. And then he throws his feet together and does the Sieg Heil type motion on video to this cop.
Oh, right.
And I was just like, what the hell?
Wow.
Yeah.
No, but it was that if you want my body and you think I'm sexy.
I sing that to get it stuck in people's heads. I did that at work.
Yeah. But just a little fun fact of that is Rod Stewart hated that song because it makes him sound like he's full of himself. And he's like, somebody wrote this song, and then they're like, we want you to do the song. He's like, all right. He does it, and then it becomes big, and he's got to sing it every night. And he's like, I fucking hate it. So
I don't know what he hated worse, singing that song or being in the back of that truck singing to that little redheaded kid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Forever Young. Is that what that one is? Yeah. Alphaville's Forever Young is better than that one. Remember, that was in Lean On. What was that? Not Lean On Me. What was that one? Tied to Growing Pains. What was that one with Kirk Cameron? That movie, and it played Forever Young by Alphaville. Started with an L. Anyway.
No. Is there one where he switches with Dudley Moore?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was no, but I forgot about that. I need to watch that tonight. No. It was one where they're in school, they're in college, and he meets with, I think, the girl from Twister gets, what's her name? Anyway.
Oh, we got cows.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that girl. But anyway, you have a computer there. I can't look on my phone.
Yeah, but I got it open to the thing.
Oh, you open up the second page for or something. Yeah, on your phone. There you go. IMDb. I mean, everybody's going nuts or yelling at the thing because they're like, we have no idea what you old men are talking about.
Are you? All right. What am I looking for?
Kirk Cameron. And it was in like the late 80s, early 90s.
The only thing that matters has nothing to do with Kirk Cameron. It has to do with Michael J. Fox and the girl that played Joe from what's that called?
Joe from what? You stopped for a second. You froze up.
I know. I was thinking about it. Joe from the girls.
Facts of Life.
Facts of Life. That's it. The camp TV show where they were at camp.
Facts of Life.
It says yes. It says my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah. And he was with her on a movie or on a TV show?
Yeah, it was like it was maybe a movie TV show, like a TV movie thing. It was a movie though.
Okay.
Where they went to camp or something. Damn it! Right.
Oh yeah, maybe that was that other one. I know the one you mean. Not Harlan County, USA, but it's something like that. Old man Chip's going to look up Kirk Cameron, 1989 or 90.
All I'm going to get is nothing but religious shows. You know that, right?
Yeah, well, 89 or 90 will be That's before he got too religious. At the end of Growing Pains is when he was like,
when he figured out that his cash cow was going to be doing religious movies.
Where pretty much every episode was Leonardo DiCaprio episodes, and he was barely in them anymore.
Yeah, because nobody cared.
Now, like,
all right, I'm looking. Let's see.
But yeah, like 89, 90.
I don't want to know his sign. I want his filmography. What's his sign?
But that was like you and I have said before, like on the Growing Pains movie that they did, the last one that they did, where they all.
I didn't know he showed up on Fuller House.
Oh, that's cool. Interesting.
For one episode.
Oh, well, he has sisters with Candace Cameron.
That is true. Wait, what?
He's the main girl's brother.
Yeah, there you go. He's sisters with Candace Cameron. I was like, what?
Yeah, what did I say? Oh, yeah, I'm the brother of Candace Cameron. I think
Left
I said
Behind?
No, it's before that. It's like 89, 90, or 88, somewhere around there. But on that
Lucky
Growing
Dog.
Pains movie, they were doing a yard sale because they're moving out of the house, and they have a leather jacket laying on the table, and this girl picks it up and she's looking at it, and they go, "How much?" And Kirk Cameron's actually selling his old leather jacket, and they go, "How much?" And he tells her how much, and the girl's like, "Nah, it's not like Leonardo DiCaprio wore it or anything," and she leaves, and it was actually Kirk Cameron gave it to Leonardo DiCaprio on the show. Anyway, go ahead.
Listen to Me.
What's that about? I don't think so. I'm sorry. What year was that?
1989.
Might have been.
Like Father, Like Son.
That's
that was the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one you're talking about.
Let's see.
And Jamie Gertz is her name.
A group of college debaters learn about the world of friendship. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Yep, there she is. Jamie Gertz, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a good movie. Alphaville did the song. All of that just to get to Alphaville did Forever Young, and it was really good in that movie.
Yeah. Yikes.
So there you go. Yeah, is that available on Amazon Prime? Chip's lost in a spider web of tangents.
I just started seeing stuff, and I was like, I need to close this.
Yeah.
Because it's like the 10 of Us or whatever, the spin-off show.
Hey, just the 10 of us. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, with the coach.
Yeah,
that's right. That was another good show with Nancy Langenkamp in it.
Sure.
From Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, okay.
Your biggest movie. She played Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe her real name isn't Nancy, but yeah. But yeah, I remember when she was in that, I'm like, what's she doing on TV? She should be in but I think there she was like, that was just a part I played. Like, I'm doing other things until they were like, you want to be in Nightmare 5 or 6 or whatever it was? And she's like, all right, I'll be a teacher.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right. I think we've exhausted all tangents.
I think so. It's very possible.
Yeah.
So, all right.
There's the name of your episode, Exhausting All Tangents.
Yep. What time is it? How long have we been doing this?
About an hour and 20 minutes, maybe.
It's not bad. Okay. We're going to end it right here. So.
All right.
Well, I'm going to end the recording. We can keep talking. But,
right. Bye, everybody.
Yeah. See you later.
Jazz hands. Right. Bye. That's not proper jazz hands. Mine looked right. Yours looked wrong. Yours look like you're half like, meh. Like, yeah, here you go. That's jazz hands.
I guess.